Good morning, folks. Dr. John Taylor Kent here. It's early Tuesday morning, 20th of September. It's just rained. I gotta get dressed and get out in the desert. That gritty sand. Maybe I'll skip it today. I ran yesterday. Don't tell my personal trainer that. He'll have a fit. He didn't want me running. Yeah, I know. I'm an old man, and I'm out there running in the desert. Well, it's the time. It's the time these days, folks, when it's time to get in fighting strength. Um, you you got to get in good condition. You have to because the stresses and strains that are coming down and what we're going to be going through. What I want to alert you about this morning is the fact that the word is that there's been some construction stuff going on inside the country. And I don't know where it is, and this is not being reported on the news, and it's not going to be reported on the news because you and I aren't supposed to know. But they're building these huge projects, meaning they're expecting a whole lot of people to occupy them. How many people? Well, on another front, word comes in that this administration is intent upon inviting in and hosting and supporting 100 million non-citizens and making them a burden on the rest of us, which should just basically destroy our nation. We won't be able to lift our heads up again, is what they're hoping. Yes, this is an atypical war. It is an unlimited war. We're fighting on so many different domains in so many ways. So many things have been weaponized. So many things are being used to kill us. It ain't funny. And we can't get good information right now. So I'm hearing wild ranges on the unexpected death rates being anywhere from as low as only 16% above normal to about 95% above normal. And from what I can see, this is just going to be accelerating. You all that took that damn thing after the rest of us warned you, and you gave us hell because we didn't take ours. I'm sorry. It's just a matter of time. And so the rest of us have to get ready for the fact that while 100 million foreigners are coming in here, and they're not required to get any sort of medical treatment, and the rest of us are dying, well, a lot of it's because we are older, and 500,000 is the normal expected death rate annually. But we are above that, and a lot of those are sudden deaths. We're going to be hard pressed to field enough men to defend ourselves in the near future. Likewise, they're doing their best to disarm us as fast as they can. Do not comply. Everything that they've come up with law-wise is unconstitutional regarding firearms. And you may say, well, it's common sense. No, that's what they tell your dumbass. It's common sense. It's not common sense. The way the Second Amendment's written, it's whatever you need to defend your life is okay. So they're trying to make it impossible for us to defend ourselves. They're trying to burden us down. And you can bet that 100 million they're bringing in are not going to be women and children. It's going to be, for the most part, men of fighting age. Young, buff, strapping men who can put on a fight. And at the same time, they're arming them up indirectly by arming our government, stockpiling weapons. Oh, and they get full automatics. You and I can't have them, but they can. So you can expect ammunition to be in shortage because the government's going to be buying up all it can. And I'm not saying the government's going to use them on us, although they could, and they have in the past. I'm saying they may just pass them on to our guests. The young men of fighting age they invite in might put them in their hands. They've been trying to launch a civil war on us for a long time. You need to realize that our own government's behind Antifa. That's why it's not listed as a threat organization. You need to understand that we're dealing with white supremacism, and the crazy ass thing is that the bulk of the people who are involved against us are white. Some of them are Khazarians. Some of them are descendants who claim they're Jews and they're not. They're fake Jews. Don't broad brush stroke the whole Jews. Now, I don't care much for their religion. I don't care much for the religion that I was reared in, because they made a lot of mistakes and they lied a lot in that religion. But what I'm getting at is the enemies among us, and they look just like us. They're hard to identify us. But the reason that they're targeting white supremacists, and you're going to keep hearing that, and by the way, we should start using that term and get desensitized to it. The reason they're doing that is because we're the ones they're after. They want to unwhiten America. Listen to Biden in his old speech. He'll tell you what a racist he is. He doesn't like blacks. He doesn't like whites. What is he? Quite seriously, what is Biden? So we're headed into deep, deep troubles. And what I want you to do is I want you to buy my Bibles. Give them to other people if you don't want to read them yourself. Read them yourself. Just read it like a doggone storybook. Some of it's going to come across as stories. Some of it is symbolic. But you need to take it a little bit more literal than what you think. Take it literally first. Interpret it concretely. Then, go for abstract reasoning on it. Go for similes. Go for metaphors. Look at the symbolism. Look at the different levels conveyed to you right there on the pages in front of your eyes. And you might want to hang out in the Old Testament, because it really does explain things much better than the New Testament. If you would like my channel and share it on social media, I'd appreciate that. If you don't like it, go ahead and correct me in the comments. If I've made a mistake, if I'm in error, please do correct me. If you know something that you want to expound on something, put it down there. I don't mind that at all. It's wide open for you. I hope you reference the Bible. I hope you reference your own observations. I'm going to put more confidence in the observations you tell me than what I'm getting in the newspapers or hearing on talk radio, even the so-called conservative talk shows, which make me want to puke. They aren't conservatives. They're all controlled. The one I hate the most, Sean Hannity. Great American. Hell, he's Mockingbird Media, totally controlled. He's an Israel firster. Now, I'm an Israel firster too, but it's a different Israel. I believe in the people, the descendants of the man named Israel. Okay? Well, I think you understand that about me. I don't need to belabor the point. I need you to understand, though, they're invading us and they want to wear us down and wear us out. They're going to bring 100 million here. I don't think we can fight them at this point. I think that we'll be lucky if we hold on to our beings to defend ourselves, and we will be defending ourselves. They're arming up the government, and they're bringing in these foreigners, and these foreigners tend to be men of fighting age. Young, buff, strapping males with muscle on them. So, it's time to circle the wagons. All of your state governments are corporate governments. We need organic governments. I don't know how to do that. I know some people on Facebook that know how to do that, but we're not allowed to talk about such things very much from what I can see. But I got a lot of confidence in Patricia Wheat. She ran for Congress. Too bad she did not win. We don't have a Congress anymore, in case you're wondering. We have a political class that puts on a show for us, and they do exactly what their masters bid them to do. So we've got rule by the bankers at this point. They're the ones calling the shots, telling the politicians what to do. We allowed them to take it over the place in 1913. That's when they formed that stupid damn Federal Reserve Bank, which is not federal and has no reserves. It's black magic money art, and they can pay off anybody they want with that phony money that they can make as much as they want. We have no checks and balances on it. There's no controls. We don't even know the money supply. It is far bigger than what they're willing to admit. It's at least double what's on the books. It's probably 3 or 4 times that. So they've destroyed that currency, but they force it off on the world. So we're able to get goods and services from people on the outside because our military goes out there. And, well, if we had honest money, we could stay home and we wouldn't have these wars. That's what our founders gave us. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just have to go back to the original roots. Okay, in case you're wondering, you get rid of all of the amendments and you go back to the original 13th Amendment. The original 13th Amendment was ratified. It was passed. It was voted upon. 10 of the 13 states voted for it. It's the law of the land. And it's not about titles of nobility and bullshit like that doesn't amount to that much. It's about the separation of powers. It put the attorneys in their place. The attorneys got us into the War of 1812, and they passed that doggone amendment so that the attorneys could no longer be elected to the legislative branch or to the executive branch, because attorneys, as officers of the court, are already members of the judiciary, and we cannot have this overlap because they're a bunch of liars and thieves, and they set us up for falls. They set us up for wars. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some good attorneys out there with brilliant minds, but there's a lot of dumbasses out there that don't realize what the law of the land is. Another thing, it also stripped all members of the Bar Association of any and all citizenship in these states. Why? Well, it was beholden to the Crown. British accreditation, registry, bar. It's still the law of the land, and I'm going to enjoy that day when the attorneys scream from one end of the country to the other end of the country, I didn't know. We didn't know the law. Jackasses have been telling us that ignorance of the law is no excuse. Guess what, boys? Oh, and girls who are attorneys and members of the Bar Association, we're going to strip you of your citizenship. Now, don't get your panties in too much of a wad. We're going to let you work it out. We have to. We do need your technical help, but you are going to be limited. You're not going to be elected to the legislative bodies. You're not going to be a senator. You're not going to be a congressman or a congresswoman or whatever you want to call them, or a Congress-it or a Congress-Q, whatever the hell it is out there. And we don't have representation of the states. In other words, the parties to the Constitution are no longer represented. And that, to me, is the ultimate point at which you no longer have a republic. Lincoln was a son of a bitch. He was called Honest Abe for a reason, and it wasn't because he was honest. We need to return to senators being selected from their state legislators, meaning those guys got elected to their state legislatures. And they argued among themselves and voted among themselves and picked out two men, 2 people, whatever, 2 LGBTQs, whatever the hell you want. But they picked out 2 people, and they sent them to D.C. to represent the state government. And should they not fail to represent the state government properly and not vote the way the state government wanted them to, like McCain and Romney and some of these other, Lindsey Graham, that gay jackass out of South Carolina that should have been run off a long time ago. No, he shouldn't be run off because he's gay. The man's respectful. He doesn't put that in my face. I can live with that. I can actually respect that. It's all right, I don't have to hear about your crap, and don't force me to legitimize these stupid-ass marriages. I mean, that's not, doesn't even meet the definition in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. But your senators need to be fired in a heartbeat. Returned home, recalled by the state legislators, and finishing out the seat to which they were elected. And then I think we need to go a step further in reinventing this government, because our founders didn't get it quite perfect. I think I can improve it. How about you? Can you improve it? Put it in the comments. Tell you what, we tell the states, hey, we ain't paying for it anymore. Oh, we'll pay for the lights. We'll provide the offices. But you will pay their salaries and their benefits. And we're expecting your governors to sign off on their checks so they know who the hell they're beholden to. They know who they're working for. And the Senate was supposed to be a slow body. It was supposed to be a safeguard, but it's not anymore. So we need to kick all those jackasses out. Yes, we pay them, but the states foot the bill. We need to save our money in the central government. And as far as Congress goes, you see what they did about 1933. Well, maybe it was before then. I don't know exactly. But the word I have from an older gentleman who's long since been gone, so I can't ask him any questions, was that the Senate and the Congress made a deal. Senators wanted to be elected for life, and congressmen wanted to be paid for life. So the Congress and the Senate made a deal. The Senate went for direct elections in violation of the Constitution. Yeah, it's not a constitutional Senate. And congressmen got paid. You see, they used to get a per diem. They get a couple shekels a day, whatever. You know, they get a couple bucks, couple $100 a day. It wasn't taxable. And it was to defray the cost of room and board while they served and volunteered their time. We need to go back to that. No pay or benefits for Congress. And we need to eliminate the back stuff, too, that those people think they got, because it was illegal as hell. It's not constitutional. I would like to give them the franking privilege, but I want to make those bastards sign the damn envelopes so they can do free postage, and that's it. Okay, folks, make way for the guests. They're flooding us with 100 million illegal aliens, 100 million non-compatibles, 100 million lower IQs, 100 million that have all kinds of criminal backgrounds, that have all kinds of military training, that have all kinds of stuff that we don't get to check on. Oh, and they can walk across the border. They don't have to be vaccinated. Wow. Wonder why that is. All right. God bless America.